Good afternoon, good morning. Mark Johnson from Loyalty360. Hope everyone's happy, safe, and well. Want to welcome you back to another edition of our Leaders in Customer Loyalty series. In this series, we speak with leading brands about what they are seeing and hearing on the front lines of customer channel and brand loyalty. Today, we have the pleasure of speaking with Caroline Larson. She's the Senior Director of Marketing at Caribou Coffee. How are you today, Caroline?
Great. How are you?
Well, thank you.
Good.
First off, let's start these on a more personal level. So we'd love to know a little bit about yourself, your position at Caribou, maybe how you got into that position. It'd be great to know that.
Great. Well, thanks for the opportunity to talk with you and your listeners today. I love to talk about loyalty. It's kind of a nerdy thing for me. Been doing it for a while. We just refreshed our loyalty program, which is something I'm excited to talk to you a little bit about. I have been at Caribou Coffee for a total of 8 years. I was brought on specifically to help manage the loyalty program, evolve it, develop it. I've been in my current role as Senior Director of Marketing for just the last 2 years. So it's been a whirlwind. So much has changed, but so much has stayed the same. But yeah. It's a fun place to be.
Okay, great. What about a fun fact for you? Something, a passion you have outside of work? Do you have 12 kids? Do you like to parasail? Do you ride a Harley?
Oh my gosh. Well, that's a great question. What I was thinking about a little bit was I think I'd be someone that you'd call a homer. And by that, I mean, I've only worked for Minnesota-based companies throughout my career. So that's always been kind of a thing. And I'm a huge, so therefore I'm a huge Minnesota Vikings fan.
Okay.
And was born, my mother went into labor. I won't tell you the year, but it was because of a playoff game that the Vikings had back in the day. So very much a sports-minded family that my husband and I and 2 kids and our sweet dog Nilla. So
okay, great.
Here in Minnesota.
So does that mean you were a Fran Tarkington fan back in the day then?
Of course I am.
There we go. Good. All right, perfect.
It goes hand in hand. Yes.
There we go. For most of our audience, I'm sure they're quite familiar with Caribou Coffee. But for those who may not be as familiar, can you tell us a little bit about Caribou Coffee, your history, what you guys do, and how you do it?
Yeah, for sure. As I mentioned previously, always so loyal to Minnesota brands, and that's where Caribou Coffee started back in 1992 in Minneapolis by John and Kim Puckett. They have gone on to create other wonderful brands here in Minnesota as well. We have over 700 coffee houses worldwide. Fun fact that if you are familiar with Caribou, you probably think of it as kind of a north, kind of regional brand, but we actually have stores over in the Middle East. And a lot of people don't know that, and they love Caribou Coffee over there, and they love the decor and the warm feeling. So that's something that I think a lot of people wouldn't necessarily know. We're about to come on our 30th birthday, our 30th anniversary this coming December. So, what that marks is, 30 years of what we hope is unbelievable service and making connections with our communities. But, the real thing that people, come to us for are our beverages, our drinks. And we're happy that, we've had 30 years of unbelievable mochas and lattes, that sort of thing, all made with, real chocolate, real caramel, real ingredients. A lot of our competitors can't say the same for that. And so not only are we have, real products, but we feel like we want to make real connections. And then, of course, in a coffee business, you always have to think about, of course, where the coffee comes from. And we are the first coffee house to be 100% Rainforest Alliance, which means that we care about where the coffee comes from, the environment, and the people that actually grow the coffee. So really excited to talk more about it, but we're expanding our footprint all the time. So we'll be opening a store in Ohio coming up in about 3 weeks. We're going to get bigger and bigger. And so we get a lot of comments on social, people that, we have this loyal following, and people often say, when are you coming to, this place, this place. And so now we're going to be able to comment anytime soon.
That's good. Perfect.
Yeah.
What part of Ohio are you rolling into?
Well, it's mainly in the Columbus area to start. So the first one is actually just north, in between kind of Cleveland and Columbus. It's actually in Worcester. There's a university there. Our franchisee is actually based there, and then they wanted to open one like in their community because they just wanted to live with Caribou Coffee. So then they'll start to develop around Columbus.
Okay, great, perfect. Well, if we come to Cincinnati, let us know, and we'll make sure to get the word out regarding that.
Will do.
Good, perfect.
It'll happen.
So when you look at customer loyalty, one of the things we love to do at Loyalty360 is understand how brands define certain terms, do a lot of research. We do a lot of focus groups around the industry. So, how do you define customer loyalty? How does Caribou Coffee define customer loyalty? What does it mean to your organization?
Yeah, great question. We really think about it as having that real connection, as I mentioned earlier, around this concept of real. And so it's a real connection with our guests, and we want to make sure that they feel recognized and rewarded. But a key component of our program, and we launched its current version of a points-based program back in 2017, and it allows people to choose. Part of the premise is that there had been a lot of changes in loyalty programs about that time, where they were changing from a visit-based loyalty program to more of a dollar spent based program. And if you think about it, the cornerstone of any coffee company is the actual coffee. And if you all of a sudden had to spend considerably more just to get a brewed cup of coffee, and the person behind you in line is actually getting, a very expensive latte, it's really not fair that you would actually pay the same thing. So I really wanted to make sure that they had the ability for choice, so they could redeem this many points for brewed coffee. But if they want to redeem points for beans that they can actually brew at home, that's a different level. And it was really important for us to be able to give the guests the choice, and it wasn't something that we as a company were mandating for them. So we always really want to make sure that we're thinking about our guests first. And, with Caribou Perks, we want to say, fill their cup, all about, giving back and making sure the guest is the center.
Okay. I know Caribou Coffee recently relaunched your customer loyalty program. Can you tell us a little bit about the relaunch? How was the program changed? Did you go about deciding how to change it, what to change in the program? And maybe what are you seeing so far with the changes in the program?
Yeah. Well, I like to use the term refreshed versus relaunched because we didn't, necessarily change the overall structure per se. But again, it had been a few years since we had some bigger changes in our program. And again, just watching what the guest is telling us, what they want, that sort of thing. So one of the changes we made is we really want to make sure that it's an omni-channel experience. So obviously, the majority of time, our members are interacting with us in our actual retail stores, but we also wanted to have the ability for them to earn and redeem online at cariboucoffee.com, where you can, use points to purchase some of our products, everything from, coffee beans to, cups to hold the coffee, as well as you can redeem points for free shipping. So we really wanted to make sure that we were, evolving our program so that we were meeting the needs of our guests, so that no matter where they go, they can earn and redeem and be rewarded with Caribou Coffee. That was important.
That's awesome. When you look at customer loyalty, I know you recently launched an app to complement the loyalty program as well. Can you tell us a little bit more about the new Caribou Coffee app and how you decided to go and incorporate the app and the loyalty program, and kind of what are some features of the app itself?
Yeah, well, the best way for people to interact with our loyalty program is with our app. They can also obviously do it at the store. They can even do it on the website, but the app is really the best place. And it's everything. We really wanted to kind of recreate the experience for our guests. So we even have, in our stores, if you walked into a store, you can answer a trivia question and get, a discount off your drink. And it's just kind of that fun interactive thing. We do the same thing on our on our app. So it's the best place to be able to manage your account. They can view their point balance. They can add more money to their account. They can pay. We have Apple Pay, as well as you can use a gift card. We can even, one of the cool things that I think gets underutilized is that, have you ever heard of those people that are like in the drive-through lane and they say, I'm going to buy the coffee or the order for the person behind me?
Yes.
That happens all the time. It's never happened to me, which is a little bit of a bummer, but
it has never happened to me either, but I don't drink coffee, so that could be probably part of the problem. But,
oh dear.
Yeah, I know.
Well, we're going to have to talk about that. We're going to have to talk, but we wanted to do something similar that we could do, through the app. So we actually have the ability in our app where you can send a free drink to somebody that's, in your contact list, if they're having a bad day or whatever. We really wanted to be able to bring this coffee culture into our app. But honestly, the majority of time people are interacting with our app to use order ahead. Obviously, it's something that, the COVID in particular, definitely changed. Like maybe it's accelerated the use of order ahead and curbside. So when people actually use order ahead in our app, they can choose how they want to pick it up. They can either walk in, or if there's curbside, they can have someone bring it out, or obviously they can pick up through the drive-through. So, and I think the other piece is that we wanted to give them the ability to save their favorite orders and save their favorite location. So one of the cool things is that you can actually save your favorite store and you can rename it, because, good thing is that we've got a lot of great stores, in certain areas, and sometimes it can get confusing which one you want to go to. So you could say, this is the Caribou by my daycare, or this is the Caribou by my work. And then you can easily select it to be able to do your order quicker. So it's kind of fun.
Awesome. Okay. That's great. When you look at your customers, there's a great deal of discussion within our community. We have meetings on this within our brand community about customers, how they're changing, how they evolve going through COVID, how they may be evolving coming out of COVID, and how brands respond to that. So, you look at the pandemic, the food service QSR industry was impacted in a number of ways. How do you think your customers are changing at Caribou Coffee and maybe within the industry, and how are you responding to those changes?
Boy, isn't that the topic of a lot of discussions over the last couple of years? Really we look to our guests to see how they're changing. And, obviously with new kind of working schedules, you can tell I'm working from home today. And that wouldn't have been the case necessarily 2 years ago or 3 years ago. So, there's so many people that are doing hybrid working schedules that one thing we saw almost off the bat was that people were buying a lot more beans and brewing at home, which, thankfully for Caribou Coffee, our coffees are in all 50 states and some, grocery stores and Target and that sort of thing. So kind of that side of the business really kind of blossomed during those initial days. And the other piece is really, not coming into stores. So as I mentioned just a second ago about our app is that, having the ability to order ahead and be able to choose how you interact with the store. So, are you going to pick it up in the drive-through, or are you going to, if we don't have a drive-through, then we have a curbside option for you to be able to do. So I think one of the biggest changes is, how people are ordering. And I guess the other piece that I'll just mention is that, again, with the hybrid working schedules, again, probably we are not alone in this, is that 2 years ago, if you would have said, what's your busiest day at Caribou? I would have said for sure it was Friday. And the reason is that people were finally getting through their work week. They were going to treat themselves with that delicious mocha made with, real chocolate chips. And now when people a lot of times are working, like maybe in the office Tuesday, Wednesday, or Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Fridays actually are a lower traffic day. And it's because people are deciding to brew at home. So we're seeing a shift in kind of the traffic on our days. It's been really interesting to watch, and a challenge that thankfully with a loyalty program and running majority of our promotions through a loyalty program, we can manage against.
Okay, great. When you look at your customer relationships, coffee is a very emotional connection. The same connection to iced tea. There's certain places I go when I'm traveling. To find great iced tea is going to be challenging. When you look at emotional loyalty, how do you go about looking at kind of building emotional loyalty with your guests, and how do you measure that?
Yeah, I mean, another great question. Well, we continue to grow the loyalty program. As I mentioned, it is the prime way that, we run promotions, that we talk to you, that sort of thing. We try to give you sneak peeks into, new things that are coming. So our Perks members get Perks previews, we call that. So, the softer side of loyalty has always been, that recognition piece. And so that really is the emotional connection. We have over 2 million Perks members now, and we want to make sure that that connection is still there, even depending on how they are actually getting their coffee. That connection with the barista is really, really important. So we want to be able to do that. We do, obviously, like a lot of businesses, we do net promoter scores. We do surveys. We always want to make sure that, we're doing a good job with connecting with our guests, and we ask them on a pretty regular basis. We've got one of the highest NPS scores in the business. And it's because of those connections, and it's because those connections with our teams. Building that advocacy is obviously, a really important part of the overall guest funnel. And it's always fun, as a loyalty person, to see, these unaided people that, post things about Caribou Coffee. They're in a post, and they're, just by happenstance have their Caribou Coffee. So we try and see it in different ways around engagement and interaction with the guest. So, just to double down on it, it's hard, obviously, to measure emotional loyalty. That's why, people are continuously asking questions about it. But we believe in our program numbers, and that we're doing the right thing with our guests.
Okay. And the last question I have is, what can Loyalty360 do to help you and your team regarding your customer loyalty journey?
Well, I mean, the easy answer for that is, I would assume that everybody that's listening to this would download the app and instantly become a Perks member, especially, no matter where they are, if we have a store near them or not, because of course now they can buy things online. But, check out our stores. Check, if you haven't had a chance to buy the coffee and you're a coffee lover. We also have some great tea for Mark. If you ever want to, give it a shot, definitely try us. You'll taste the difference in our, not only, in our teas, it's all real ingredients again, no artificial colors and flavors and all that good stuff. So just appreciate the time to be able to talk about it with someone that hopefully loves loyalty as much as I do, and look forward to hearing more.
Great. Well, thank you very much, Caroline, for taking the time to speak with us today. It was great getting to know you, and also a little bit more about Caribou Coffee. Look forward to hearing more about the Refresh program going forward. And again, thank you very much for taking the time to talk to us today.
Thanks a lot, Mark.
Absolutely. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Make sure you join us back for another edition of our Leaders in Customer Loyalty series. Have a wonderful day. Thanks.